Wednesday morning, 21 in front of 9 o'clock. Let's bring in our very good friend, Dr. Joe Congini, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital. Good morning, Dr. Joe.
Hi, Ray. How you doing this week?
I'm doing well.
You surviving that heat?
I am. I went walking late last night, but it has been hot and another day in store for us today, that's for sure. But it looks like more comfortable conditions coming up in the days ahead. What do you have?
Look into the weekend, too. So, yeah, we're on the weather roller coaster. That's what we love about Northeast Ohio.
That's for sure. Hey, what do you have for us today?
So, Ray, let's talk down at our office and talk around town as football season really starts to pick up at all three levels of things that people are watching and so forth. We're more involved in the junior high school, and college part. But the issue in our region that comes up that everybody's talking about is, what about recurrent concussions? You know, NFL-wide, everybody's talking, mainly the person they're talking about is Tua, but there's other people. But locally in the Cleveland area, everybody's talking about Denzel Ward. And, you know, what a great kid, local kid, and great player and all that kind of stuff. We don't know the details of Denzel Ward. There's just no good way to say the fact of that he's had some recurrent concussions. Does that put him at a higher risk? Is he thinking of, staying out longer, or a lot of other things? There's a lot of factors. We don't know. They're not going to share those in the media. Things like, number one, the spectrum of severity. A lot of injuries we see in sports medicine, there's a spectrum of from pretty mild to pretty severe. And concussion is a very complex thing to care for. And there's a wide spectrum of severity from, very mild concussions that people have to more severe. So with the kids that we're looking at, the high school and the college kids and stuff like that, we're trying to assess how severe were the concussion they had before, if they've had a couple. Remember the good news, and we'll bring that out right up front. 75 to 85% of concussions clear within the first 10 to 14 days. So many concussions are of a milder severity, and they clear pretty quickly. We end up seeing in our office and at the TBI clinic, traumatic brain injury clinic, we end up seeing that 15% that aren't clearing. But we have no idea in people with recurrent concussion where, if we're not treating them, what the severity of the concussion or spectrum of severity is. Number two, we've made this point. I know it's complex, but I'm going to try it again anyway. There's many different types of concussion, just like there's different types of knee sprains. There are concussions that have the primary symptom is dizziness or vertigo as a part of it. There are other ones where cognitive or memory and other issues related to the thinking part of the brain is the primary part of the concussion. There's others that are visual-related concussions. There's others that are what are called cervical concussions that are more muscular. There's others that are more headache-related, and they have a chronic, frustrating headache. So there's several different types of concussion, and different types of concussion are more at risk depending on if they get into that pattern of recurrent concussion. Probably the scariest part is when we go down that road a little bit with the kids in our office, is it seems to perhaps lower the threshold to get another concussion when you've had one or a couple. And that's the part that's concerning. But even that has a lot to do with the severity of the concussion and the type of concussion, and we just don't know. One of the things that people don't know about in evaluating these concussions, there's kind of a whole nother team. This isn't the orthopedist making decisions and the primary care, the sports medicine always. A lot of times there's a team called at our hospital, the TBI team, traumatic brain injury team, that we lean on a lot. They're an independent group of physical therapists, visual specialists that look at the eyes, neuropsychologists, neurologists who have to take care of those headaches that are a part of it. If there's anything structural, we need neurosurgeons on the team. And there's even cognitive specialists that work with kids to see them improve that cognitive function as the brain improves. And that team really helps make independent decisions about return to learn, get back to the classroom, and return to play. We don't want this to be the kind of thing like a lot of other injuries. Hey, there's pressure on the medical team to return somebody quickly. When it comes to concussion, there's a unique team. We're really blessed at Children's to have a great team that has all those teammates on it. And so depending on specially what kind of or type of concussion it is, that team kind of takes over and they help us with decisions about return to play or return to learn so that we don't have to make those difficult decisions while we're embedded with the team.
Dr. Joe Congini, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital. And Joe, you and I can only sit back and wish we had this type of technology and attention in years gone by when they had those artificial surfaces back in the 70s and 80s, and these guys were playing on like cement and getting banged around, for example, Bernie Kosar, our good friend Jay Brophy, and beyond.
Exactly. And I think in my area of medicine in 35 plus years, there's nothing that's evolved more than the care of concussion. I mean, it's just amazing when I walked out there as a medical student and a resident in the mid and early 1980s. The difference to what it is today is a huge difference. But a lot of people trying to speculate and look in as you do with a hamstring injury or a calf injury for Joe Burrow or something like that. And, a lot of people can relate to that. But they're just so complex. I just listed 6 different types of concussions there are. Concussion evaluation and management is evolved more than anything in the last 30 years. But guess what? We still have a long way to go. And there's still a lot of research being done to try to find the right answers to protect kids who play sports. Remember, this isn't just a football thing. Boy, our soccer kids have started coming in our office to a big extent. We get into the fall, we end up really start to see an increased risk of those concussion kids coming in the office.
Yeah, Joe, thank you so much. And thank you for beating that drum loudly, my friend, in this battle against concussions. Joe travels sometimes all over the world talking and educating us in the world of concussions. Joe, thanks for the time and the visit again. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, Ray. Keep those evening walks going, and I'll keep trying to do the same thing. We'll keep hanging on, all right?
That sounds good to me, my friend. Sounds like a good plan. Dr. Joe Congini, Sports Medicine Center, Akron Children's Hospital.